Well, I don't know if you've heard what's going on here in the village of Wappingers Falls, but the town board and the mayor are looking for creative ways to reduce the taxpayers' money and give them a little bit of a tax break. One of the things they figured out they could do would be to eliminate the police department here in the village of Wappingers Falls. That has a lot of residents up in arms because they want their village police here, not a shared service system where it would be shared with the Dutchess County police patrolling the streets of the village of Wappingers Falls. So big heated argument on so many different levels. This thing got really heated at one point. Check it out.
Mayor, have you come to my home at 9:30 at night and talked to me about getting labor management meetings? How many labor management meetings did we have?
We didn't have any.
No, but when we did come to one particular labor management meeting with the police committee, Ronnie, Kevin, and Scott, the very next day, you started, yes we did, we were talking about, no, well I got,
it's a lie.
That's what you're saying.
Everybody, he is lying.
Okay, I'll show you the documentation.
Never had that meeting.
Stop.
And he's swearing it happened, and it never happened.
Let's stop with this personal crap, okay? Because that's no, just stop, okay? Stop.
The real question tonight is, what does this village want to do, and what should be our destiny concerning our police service for the future? So the annual cost of the village police to the village taxpayer as a whole is $1,496,079. The proposed annual cost of the sheriff's service to the village taxpayer all in is $906,000. So these are the differences that the village is looking at. These are just the cost differences. You know, you should know that we are very much aware that there's a personal connection between village residents and our own police officers, and we also know that this is something that needs to be carefully thought through and discussed, but we also knew that we had a duty to explain to village taxpayers that there is the potential to save in the village taxes in the spending $590,000 in each tax year going forward. So at this time, I would like to say that we would take questions from the audience, take comments.
We asked for, as the union, financial information so that we could make an intelligent assessment of the books. You've gotten a PowerPoint presentation today. It looks to me that the proposed expenditures for the police department here are exaggerated and inflated. So this is not a speculative issue. This is not deliberative. This is happening. That local law has been drafted. It is going to be presented next week. And if it's passed, this board should ask its citizens and not be afraid to ask its citizens what they think of this in a mandatory referendum. Thank you.
The budget that I had presented to me the year that you took office was $3.2 million. Okay? It's up to can someone give me the figure? Someone here must know the figure, or you should know the figure.
I think
you don't have this year's budget in front of you? No one knows what the budget is since you all prepared it? Is it fair to say you've been mayor for the last 10 years?
yes.
How did the budget under your overseeing go up so much? Because the buck stops at you. How are you a proponent of getting to the police department to the point where we're at now in the budget, where you say is unsustainable? And now, in the best interest, you're looking after us. How did you, as the be-all and end-all here, the buck stops at the mayor, how did you allow that budget to get this high?
It went up with the collective bargaining agreement increases in salaries, which is what is the largest component of the police budget.
We were voted in by the village residents, and I took a note to try to do what I feel is best for the village and for the people in this village. And this is not just money. It's the operation and what goes on in our police station and what happens all the time, and with complaints.
I've been an employee here for 32 years. That's pretty much my entire adult life. As far as Ms. Kamornik saying that there's trouble, there's problems, there's investigations, then be a board, deal with the commissioner, deal with your command staff, and discipline those people individually. Don't try to take us all out, because there's some of us really still want to come to work here and serve you people. I enjoy what I do here, and I'm going to continue to do it with you folks out here allowing us to do that, not what the 7 people up here say. My question to the board and the mayor is, allow the people to cast these votes, not you people up here behind closed doors and a folded piece of paper.
This is about getting rid of our police department and using the money for something else, because we all know that we are not going to get a 16% tax cut. Work for the taxpayer. Let us understand more. Give us more time. And explain in further detail. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
I'm a little confused here, because I'm hearing it's about the money. I hear from Ronnie, it's not about the money. Something smells fishy to me. Why are you rushing this through? You know the village residents want to vote on it, and you want to vote on it yourselves and push it through.
How many times has the PBA come to you and asked to have labor management meetings so you can hear our side of the story, instead of just coming after us and saying it's all the PBA's fault? Because that's all I hear you say. You're not talking about police officers, you're talking about the PBA, okay? How many times, Scott, have I come to you?
Because this is not an official meeting we're having with the public. You're showing attacks back about what's going on. You're showing attacks what's going on. It's going to stop. I don't care what yours says. I'm talking about, no, listen, okay? We're here to have a public meeting for what this was supposed to be a financial meeting. You were supposed to provide us documentation, breakdowns of numbers to the public. That's what you said last week. We got here, there's no handouts, okay? And there is absolutely no obvious numbers you can give us, because every time we ask for numbers, it's this, it could be, it might be, or whatever. We need to actually see this stuff in the breakdown.
What I'm saying, there's been a lot of problems in our police department, a lot of them. It is about money. It's also about the police department can't fill shifts. Jen was, we got to keep hiring more and more part-timers. We get 30 part-timers. You can't fill a shift. You can't fill one shift, because as another officer told me, officer told me a couple weeks ago down at Vets Field, I'm sick and tired of working alone. I was working the 4 to 12 shift, and the guy that was supposed to work with me, I'll try to get in by 8 o'clock.
I just wanted to say that so far we've heard from 2 trustees, and I've worked with both of you in the past. We've worked on the board together. And neither one of you have mentioned anything about money. You've mentioned police complaints, and you mentioned that the police weren't doing the right thing. Both of you sit on the police committee. Both of you sit on the police committee. It is your job. You were hired by these residents. It is your job to address those issues. Not to, if it's not being run right, then you need to look at the person who's running it. And there's 3 people on the police committee. So what you're telling me is it's not about money. It has nothing to do with money. You've both spoken. Nobody even knew how much our yearly budget was, but you're reacting. There's many complaints that you get, what you see from your neighbors. There's a million, from the complaints that you get, there's a million other stories of the greatness of our police department. How can you disband our police department based on complaints that you're getting? If you're getting complaints, you both sit on the police committee. You should have acted on those complaints. You should have gone to the person who's running the police department, and you should have made it happen. And if you guys can't make it happen, then you need to go, not our police department.
I want to say something. You sat on that board for 6 years, Jen. 6 years. You sat on finances. You couldn't find any money to save. Listen to me. And your brother, you're trying to save his job.
Wait.
I sat on it. I have to respond to
You don't have to respond yet. You could respond after.
How many conversations have we had? Be truthful. How many conversations have we had that I said that you were giving too much money to the police committee? How many times have I said that?
You need to consider the cost of being elected representatives. And while you're bringing this proposal to the public, it should be a mandatory referendum. I think that your people who elected you deserve the right to vote for this so that you know exactly how people think and feel.
I live up by the turnaround by the water tower, and there have been a number of break-ins. I had mentioned this on the first meeting where we discussed this. There have been a number of break-ins, and right now with the heroin epidemic and drugs running rampant everywhere, I have a genuine fear. But I know that whenever I've called the police department just to say there's a car up there at the turnaround again, they're here within a minute or two.
And we scrutinize every single dime. Anybody from any of the other departments that's sitting out here right now can attest to the fact that we go through everything with a fine-tooth comb. We're getting scrutinized for a $100,000 overcost on the highway department or the police department, whichever one it was. We're getting scrutinized for that, and here we have a chance to save $1 million in 2 years plus. That's what's on my plate, and that's where my brain's at, and that's where I will make my decision when the time comes.
Shared services. Yes, we're going to save money on the shared services because we're not going to have all this other big expense, like we've talked about, sergeants, lieutenants, captains, whatever it might be. This is a shared service that we can save money, and that's what I want to do for you guys. The 16% or whatever it might be, 10, 15, 20, my personal feeling, I want to give this back to your residents, all of you. This is what we're up here to do. This is what we get voted for, and this is what I want to make happen. I want you to be happy, and that's what I want. I want you to have a little extra money in your pocket and top-notch service.
The police department should restructure and get rid of their commissioner.
But not get rid of the police department, right?
No.
Okay, that's great.
I swore I wasn't going to talk tonight. I even left, but then I came back. Our police, PBA, and the police department, and the village board, if the voters vote to do away with it and go with the sheriff, are they willing to accept that? If they vote to keep it, is the board willing to accept it? Okay? But the thing is, your big argument is fiduciary responsibility. You have met that in an exemplary fashion by calling the taxpayers' attention to what the various costs and savings would be. And since they're going to be paying the taxes, it should be up to them to decide whether or not they want to pay it.
Do you feel you came prepared tonight for what the audience was looking for?
I do. You know, I think we presented tonight the financial information that clearly shows how much the Dutchess County Sheriff's proposal is versus how much we actually spend in our budget. So I think that was very clear. People are welcome to get copies of the PowerPoint. We'll have those online.
And there was some discussion about the sense of urgency. Why would it have to happen so quickly?
Well, for one, I think the board has talked about the general issue of police. We've been talking about ways to cut costs. So we actually have taxpayers in the village of Wappingers Falls who want very much to see a tax cut. So we have many, many residents who do ask us if we can cut taxes, and that might not have been represented here tonight, but I can tell you that that does happen.
Will the board give the residents an opportunity to vote on it?
I think if it continues down this path with the proposed law, the board would end up giving the residents a chance to vote on it through a permissive referendum, which is a process. So the board might want to see that there's enough people out there who have real interest. We've had lots of these meetings, we've talked to lots of residents, and we want to make sure that what we're doing has real weight to it in such a way that people are able to test this law if it gets passed.